So I'm here in Ontario, California at the Team Losi headquarters with Gary Kyes. And last week we gave Gary an award at the RCX Awards Dinner, and it was the RC Car Action Hall of Fame. And Gary, just tell our viewers and our readers a little bit about what that award means to you, and also give them a little bit of history, maybe about where that award came from and the lead up to that.
Well, geez. First of all, it was a great honor. Caught me by surprise. I've been involved with RC cars either as a driver, racer, or through the business end as well for, since the early 70s. So over 40 years, I guess. You know, I fancied myself was going to be a professional motorcycle racer and hopefully car racer. And unfortunately, I ran out of talent somewhere around turn 2 and broke myself and ended up going back to racing slot cars. This is like in the late 60s, early 70s, and came down to Los Angeles for a slot car race. Again, racing anything. I was just a motorhead. And met up with one of the fellas that I admired when I was a 13, 14-year-old slot car racer back in the early days, named Mike Morrissey. And he took me out to an RC car race out in the valley, and got to see Gene Hustings and Chuck Hallam and some of the early heroes of RC cars, and I was hooked. Since my employer had made it very clear that I was going to have to make a decision as to whether or not I was going to pursue motorcycle racing and excessive medical payments, or actually become a tax-paying citizen. I had to opt for the becoming keeping my job, and anyway, it led me to pursue RC cars, and that kind of got me started. Started with pan cars back in the late '60s, early '70s. I was very lucky in that my passion for doing it, and the fact that I'd always been kind of a motorhead. My dad was a millwright, worked with his hands on machinery, and instilled that work ethic and that natural intuitiveness of figuring out how something worked and then figuring out how to make it work better. Really helped me to a great deal, and to achieve a lot of success. A lot of people don't realize this, but I won the very first 12-scale electric national, for which I'm very proud. There can only be one first, and I was lucky enough to be the guy that did that. Also did it with an electronic speed control, which at the time was kind of radical, and most people frowned on them because they said, oh, they're just not as good because you lose so much current and whatnot. And of course, we know where that all ended up going, right?
Of course.
But yeah, raced 12-scale, started with 8-scale, 12-scale gas cars, which are now history, with the old Jeremy cars. Had a lot of fun. I met a lot of very nice people, and that led to my involvement from the business end of it. And big turning point, obviously, was getting involved with the Losi family, with Gil Jr. and Janet, and that's been 27 years now, which is a career in of itself, and has worked out pretty well, all things considered. We did a lot of racing, we had a lot of fun. It was also a lot of work. Somebody once said, when you make your hobby your business, it's no longer your hobby. And to a great extent, that's true. But fortunately, we were able to still maintain a lot of fun, and as from the hobby side of it as well.
One of the things that we wanted to do by giving Gary this award is just to acknowledge that there is a history in RC. I don't think many people that are in RC now realize how far RC goes back. No. And I mean, even this car, we just spent a few moments talking about the JRX2, came out in the late 80s. And as far as I know, Gary, you're the only RC racer that has his own trading card. Well, maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
There are others. There was a fella that back when RC was just booming, actually made a series of these cards, and I was very proud to be one of those drivers that was selected. And at the time, I had nothing to do with this, but it says that I'm the Nolan Ryan of RC racing as he keeps on pitching successfully after 20 years in the sport. 20 years in an RC car driver's life that's quite a long time. But I still haven't lost the desire or the passion to do it. I obviously in the last 5 years or so, 10 years. I haven't raced competitively like I would have liked, but concentrating more on the business side of it and other things. My family was getting older, but now that I'm retired, I get to become a hobbyist again. So it's no longer my business, so it's going to become my hobby.
And again, the Hall of Fame awards always go to people that have spent a really long time in the industry, that have impacted the industry. Gary said that when this card came out that he was still the Nolan Ryan of RC. Just to put this into perspective, you had been doing this a long time when this came out, and this card says 1992 on it. So, I mean, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And additionally, I can't help but acknowledge Gary Jr., the bobblehead. Gary had just received his own bobblehead or doll figure, I guess, whatever you want to call it, from the LOSI group here, and maybe you could talk about that a little bit. I think this is eerily looks just like you.
Well, yeah, at least the head does. I mean, I was totally blown away. These guys are the best. I was presented this just literally a few minutes ago, and I'm flattered because that's my head from 2012 and my body from 1968, I think. Believe it or not, there is I won't say skinny because I've never been skinny, but there is a skinnier guy hidden inside my body. But that's something else I guess I'm going to have to work on in my retirement. But yeah, no, it was quite an honor. And I mean, you go through life and you win world championships and national championships, but as you pointed out, unfortunately, RC Cars does not have a well-documented history. So drivers, not only like myself, but now even like Gil Jr., Joel Johnson, even Brian Kinwall, which is still active. I mean, they basically operate in anonymity. People, in some respects, it's kind of nice because you go to the track and you go out, and I recently went to a race in Arizona for the fifth scale cars, and some of the guys that have been in it, they think for a long time now, which means 4 or 5 years, were out there running and said, "Who's the old guy? Who's that old guy?" And it makes you kind of smile. It makes you kind of smile. So, not as fast as I used to be. I probably never will, but I'm sure I'm going to be fast enough to have a lot of fun, and that's the important part.
Well, it was certainly an honor to be able to present this award to Gary at the RCX show, and we certainly want to acknowledge what Gary has done in the industry. So make sure and check out the article in RC Car Action, and we'll have this video and plenty more on rccaraction.com. And again, thanks, Gary, and congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.